Well, the first thing I'd say, if they don't know anything about Bob Madison, that's unfortunate.
And if you ever met Bob, the word limitations doesn't exist in his vocabulary.
Bob's still 90 years old, doesn't look it.
That architecture was the design of buildings. And buildings collected became streets, and streets became neighborhoods. And you began to feel some sense of making a contribution to life.
It's not just what the buildings look like. It's not folded paper that turns into steel. It's how they function, how the users use them. He comes from what they call modernist tradition. He worked for Walter Gropius.
You look at the number of minority architects here in the city, a good majority of them have started here.
Just like Mr. Madison, we don't look at the color of the skin. We look at the inner quality of a person.
The willingness to share, his generosity, his commitment, his determination. He's an honorable Clevelander, and we're lucky to have him.
The whole thought about being an architect and an African-American male, I mean, I was beyond the bounds of so many people's understanding and scope.
My first awareness of him was in visiting my doctor in a building that Robert had designed. And I was a kid at the time. I thought, well, geez, how can you do such a thing if you're black?
I was teaching at Howard University. I said, wait a minute, what am I teaching architecture to these young black students? Well, when they get a degree in architecture, what can they do with it? I said, well, I want to do it. Put up my shingle, had an open house, and said, who ever heard of a black architect? It was sort of a joke around town for a while. I went to the bank and they said, no, we won't loan you any money to start it. So I had to borrow money from my family and other friends. So we started going to all the churches we could and all of the community meetings that we could to let people know we were here. And gradually people began to say, well, these people are for real. December the 7th, 1941. The radio came on and said the Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor. And from that day forward, life changed everybody. President Harry Truman had determined that the segregated army was not a very good fighting machine anymore. So by an executive order, he desegregated the army right there. Black soldiers were saying, we're going to go over, we're going to fight, and we're going to die for this country. But when we come back, we expect the country to reward us for our efforts over there. So the American dream is life worth living, worth fighting for, and worth ascending to. How did a poor Depression-era African-American youth ever come
to help build the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Study at l'École des Beaux-Arts in Paris.
Served as a decorated officer in World War II.
One of the largest African-American architectural firms in America.
Deeds, not words.